a lot of loss very early, and um, have been dealing with it to the best of your ability, and continue to love with an open heart, knowing that we lose people. And so Kim lost her mother. Is
Yeah.
it a week and a half
Yeah. A week and a half
ago?
ago. Mm-hmm.
So I just want to start with, um, tell me about your mother, Kim.
Oh. Oh.
Tell me
Um,
about Jackie.
yeah, my mom's name is Jackie. Um, yeah, I think you all have heard this before. My mom had me when she was 18 and my dad was 17. So I was raised by a teenage mom who was raised in a pretty volatile home. Um, you know, and she didn't really talk about it. What she showed was enormous strength and resiliency, um, pretty pretty determined optimism. She generally thought things were going to work out. Um, she really didn't have a lot of capacity for dealing with uh, sadness or depression or fear. Yeah, she used to say, "I ain't scared of nothing." um, but yeah, my mom loved me fiercely. She was my biggest fan.
And you
Uh,
loved her and
Fiercely.
still love her fiercely.
Yeah. Um, yeah, she's super strong, really direct, tough. These are words I would use to describe my mom. Um, and really loving, but not super soft. Um, yeah, and she was always very active um, until the last 2 years, and she started to experience some pretty significant health challenges, primarily circulatory, and you know, um, and she kind of went into depression
Mm.
and wouldn't talk about it, and so you know the symptoms progressed, and there was a lot of the last couple of years, this searching, trying to figure out what's wrong. And my mom, my mom also exported, or yeah, not exported, what's the word I'm looking for, Laura? um
Projected?
no, like she assigned other people responsibility for her health.
Oh,
What's that
she
word?
outsourced.
Yeah. My mom outsourced her health. It was the responsibility of doctors, and it was the responsibility of my dad. And I would call her in the last couple of years, knowing that she'd had a doctor's appointment, and say, "What happened? What'd they say?" And she'd say, "I don't know. You have to ask your dad." Like, she couldn't even talk about that.
Mm.
And I think that my mom was more willing to face her end than she was to continue living a
Mm.
life without activity and without, the ability to go and do and stay busy. My mom's favorite coping mechanism, and I've learned it well, and my whole family has really, is, when you're feeling bad, you just go do something,
Yeah,
busy, busy,
yeah.
busy.
And I was you were describing your mom. There was so much in there that I could see that I would use to describe you,
Yeah.
right? The strong personality and very optimistic, and you know, d- doing, a lot of, the reaction is okay, just, pick yourself up and get back to it,
Yeah.
and don't let it keep you down, don't let it knock you down. And but I've also seen you in the, since I've known you, start to heal that softness
Yeah.
in yourself, towards yourself mostly. And I think that's what happens. I know that's what has happened with my mother, and that our relationships with our mothers are complex,
Yeah.
and there's this um, really honoring her for, like you said, she was a very strong person because as a child, that's how she needed to cope,
Yeah.
right? And then she kept that strength throughout her life, but in a way it created a weakness that um yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I've been thinking a lot about lately, and what I really want to talk about, is just grief. It is just
Yeah.
grief. I don't think I understood grief as well as I do now. I feel like, one of the things I one of the things that I have experienced in psychedelics, and my psychedelic experience, is just a shit ton of grieving. Like,
Yes.
I've done a
I can
lot of
vouch for
grief.
that.
Yeah. It's like the second I start to feel the medicine in my body, I start crying, and I pretty much don't
Mm-hmm.
stop crying until it's over.
Yep.
And I have gotten a real strong sense that I am grieving for generations. And I
Mm.
believe I know enough about my mom's family to know that there was a lot of pain and suffering, especially for people in my family in their younger years. And it's like, I don't know that any of them really knew how to release
Right.
that, how to grieve and let that go. And so that's what I've been experiencing probably the last 5 years for sure. I mean, that's when I started experiencing psychedelics within the last 5 years. Just a lot of releasing of sadness and pain. And last Sunday, I was driving somewhere. It was a week to the day after my mom passed, and I had just gotten home. I spent a week with my dad in Florida. My brother's still there, thankfully. So grateful for my family. And anyway, and I was, grateful come out of left field at you. Like, I was feeling just fine, and then all of a sudden I'm just crying. And I was thinking something that you told me a while ago, that you had decided to change your experience, your relationship with pain, and see pain as a wise teacher.
Mm.
And I was thinking, I think I need to change my relationship with grief
Mm.
and see grief as a lifelong passenger on my journey.
Yeah.
Um, because the nature of life is that we receive and we lose, we get and we lose. And I was thinking of the Bible verse, the Lord giveth and he taketh away.
Mm.
And that one always really confused me. And in that moment, it made sense. And I would rewrite it because in a way that my spirit can accept better, which is, in life, you get and you lose. And there's no way around it, right? Like, there's
Yes.
no way around it. So having a good relationship with grief is so important, knowing that I'm going to go through these stages and it's going to be kind of messy and nasty, and letting myself. So, like, my commitment to myself when my mom passed is, when the tears want to come, I'm going to let them come.
Yeah.
And I wasn't good at that. That wasn't a message I was given as a child. Like, my mom could not stand to see me sad.
Right.
She could not. And and she would shut it down any way she could, because she just couldn't handle seeing me sad. But um yeah, sadness is a part of grief, and grief is a necessary part of life. And as
Yeah.
long as I'm resistant, I keep myself stuck. I keep myself stuck in grief.
Yeah. Well, I had this visual. I was going through something once, but I had this visual that if you're kind of in a boat, right? And you're going down a river, and sometimes you need some, and you get to a shallow place, you get stuck, you have to have some tears so your boat is lifted
Yeah.
up again and you can start moving.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, it's our tears and, and all of that can lift us. But like you said, oftentimes we live in a culture that doesn't, that makes it like, don't be ugly and cry,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That
What do they call it?
crying, ugly crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, like don't ugly cry. And you got to get over that, and don't be sad.
Hmm.
And what happens is then it gets like this, it turns into a constriction or a scarring, and then life can't flow.
Yeah.
Right, it can't flow. And but yeah, like you said, for you it sounds like it's almost like being afraid to just cry,
Yeah.
afraid that it's not okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's like, and just being aware, like just being aware that I am in a grieving process right now. I'm in a grieving process and knowing the stages of grief, right?
Mhm.
Denial, bargaining, anger, depression, acceptance. And, I am at the beach with my significant other and his kids and his kids' friends. And yesterday, at one point, they were just irritating the snot out of me. And there was no real good reason. Like they weren't doing anything wrong, but I was mad. And it's like just letting, that I know that I am in the grieving process and that anger is a stage of grief. It's like I didn't get mad at myself for being angry at nothing because there was nothing really to be angry about.
Mhm.
And I also just took care of myself. I went for a little walk and listened to nice music and I, went by the sea and, and until I felt a little bit better. And then I could come back and, bring a different energy. But if I weren't aware that I was grieving, I would have legitimized my anger and then likely acted out and told everybody how they needed to be different so that I didn't have to feel angry. And
Yeah. Well, I think you're bringing up a really good point, something that I've struggled with. It's almost like I won't let myself have the emotion unless I understand it, unless it has some intellectual permission.
yeah.
And the shift is trust the feeling,
Hmm.
let the feeling come. What is it? An emotion that you don't mess with lasts about 90 seconds,
Yeah.
right? So have your 90 seconds,
Yeah.
right? And do whatever you need to do, and then trust it.
Yeah.
But it can feel, especially these, grief can feel almost like a wave that's going to take you under, like in fight it, fight it, fight. I mean, how many times have you just been fighting tears for all day and then you finally let yourself cry and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I feel so much better now.
Oh my gosh. I wrote something uh and posted it. But anyway, and one of the things that I also recognize is like a psychedelic experience, grief comes in waves, like
Mm-hmm.
real intense waves of feelings, but the wave recedes, right? Like so if in the intensity I let it flow, when the wave recedes, it's like I feel wrung out and clean. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
feel.
Yeah.
And but if I don't let myself go to that intense place, if I don't go with it when the wave comes, then I'm resisting and then I just feel constricted and awful. Um,
And then it comes out sideways.
and it comes out sideways or it manifests itself in the body in some
Mm-hmm.
way, some way. And yeah, that's the other thing is, I'm really grateful for the body work that I have done because
Mm-hmm.
I am today aware, and I wasn't for so long, about how my body feels and recognizing when something is constricted. I was actually in the car with my brother when we were in Florida, and he was driving and he was like all hunched forward and all stiff. And I go, "Why are you so stiff?" And he went, "Oh," and it was like,
Yeah.
I notice these things now. I never noticed those things
Mm-hmm.
before. So
Yeah.
just feeling myself constrict and like, oh, let me let that go. Let me just relax and release.
Well, just watching you, it looked like he was trying to protect his heart,
Yeah.
right? So he was
Yeah.
like armoring an armor, right? And there's so many different ways to armor up and to protect. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let me try to get through life without loving too much, so then it won't hurt too much. Like what kind of
Mm-hmm.
life is that?
Or, or let me, sorry about that. That was my mindfulness bell. Or let me, let me be on hyper alert so that the things that I do love are protected and nothing bad happens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think the other thing that I noticed in this whole thing is how hard it is for me to let the people that I love have their
Mm.
feelings, right? My brother experienced a terrible tragedy and lost his 14-year-old son to a bicycling accident about 4.5 years ago. And, they're still grieving that, his
Yeah.
family. And then, and so it's like, then we lose our mother. And
Mm-hmm.
while she had been sick and we knew she was sick, it didn't seem imminent, right? Like, so we were
Right.
all just a little surprised when
Yeah.
suddenly, you know, she goes in, a week before she died, 1 week before she died, she was golfing,
Right.
so, you've got this idea. Yeah, she's sick and yes, her health is deteriorating, but, she's not on death's door yet.
Right.
Um,
And she's been there your whole life. So the idea that
yeah,
there would be a moment in your life where she was no longer there, like you
yeah,
don't know what that's like. You don't know
yeah.
the world without Jackie.
Yeah. I mean, I've said so many times, I can't believe I'm still walking this earth and my mother is not.
Yes.
How is that possible? Right. So anyway, um, and so it's like this raw wound of grief that my brother is still carrying just gets ripped open. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like just sitting with that, with him and with
Yes.
my dad, who's been with this woman since he was 16. They were best friends. And, I will say that, I feel so fortunate that I had parents who truly loved each other. And I mean, they did everything together. my mom, my mom said, I don't believe in going on vacation without your dad. I remember this is, one of the few times she showed her emotions was when she was missing my dad. When I was a kid and my dad was a businessman and he would have to go on business trips sometimes. And
So how old was he when he was this businessman going on business trips?
well, look, so I would be anywhere between 12 and 16. And my dad was 17 years older than me. So 30,
35-ish.
30
Yeah. Okay.
or younger. And my mom was the same, right? But he would
Right.
go on a business trip. And if he was gone more than 2 days, she would break down, start crying and say, I miss Lloyd. I miss
Oh,
him. And
she
I
would
was,
cry to you.
yeah, I miss your
Oh,
dad. Yeah. And then, yeah. So then I was, last week I was talking to one of her cousins and we were just talking about that relationship and, and it goes to concern for how my dad's going to cope with the loss
yeah.
of his love. Right. And, so we were talking about that because everybody who knew my parents knew that they were really close. Um, And I said, yeah, my mom wouldn't even go on vacation. I said, she went on vacation one time. And I was like, oh my gosh, she went with you. And she goes, yeah. And she cried the whole time. She came home from that vacation and said, I am never, ever going on vacation without your dad again, ever.
Oh,
So anyway, so it's, the other thing that I want to, and I can do it easily with other people. And it's just less easy with my closest family members, my
yeah.
kids, my dad, and my brother, um, is just being present and letting them have their feelings. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like the other level of grief, because it's like it's our own. And then it's really the grief of realizing you can't protect the people that you love from loss.
yeah.
That's like grief 2.0. I feel
Yeah.
like. Especially as a mother, it's almost like, okay, I'll take it. I'll take the pain. I'll take it. Just spare my children.
Yeah.
Let it be on me. Spare my children. But that's not the way this whole game is set up. It's like everybody who comes in is going to have their own.
Yeah. Yeah. And what a gift it can be to your kids to, let them see healthy grieving and
Mhm.
guide them through healthy grieving, as opposed to suck it up, move on,
Get over it.
get over it. And, one of the things that I noticed that I still do, that's, part of this journey for me, is letting those that I love see me grieve.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that, I could sit and let my dad and my brother cry. And I'm not going to say that I didn't cry in front of them at all, but like that really, like, I'm going to break down like ugly cry, the ugly cry. I take myself to my bedroom or take myself on a walk.
Yeah.
As opposed to really letting it go in front of them. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. And it also looks like an opportunity for growth,
Yeah.
because the message that probably the thinking is they're not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah. Or I look hideous.
Oh, that too.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'll be back when I look cute. Okay, excuse me.
Oh, yeah. But
Yeah, I guess nobody can we grieve fully without ugly crying, Kim? I don't know.
I don't think so. That is not anybody who's been around me in a journey, in a ceremony, a
You mean when
psychedelic
your
ceremony.
eyes are all swollen,
And
like
I'm
almost shut, and your nose is twice the size?
yeah, and I can't catch my breath. I'm hiccuping, and yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, I know the look.
Yeah, I know. I know you do. Um, yeah, I think, one of the things that I have decided also in this whole process is I'm just going to be gentle with myself.
Mm,
You
yeah,
know,
that's a
I'm not
gift.
going to be tough. I'm not going to, try and suck it up. I'm not going to
Mhm.
move on before I'm ready. And,
Mhm.
I'm going to try not to apologize when it hits me in front of somebody, which is hard, right? Like everybody does that. Why do people do that? You start crying, you're like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Why? Why are you sorry?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, you're apologizing for being human,
Yeah. And having feelings.
right? Which is being human.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and allowing that energy to move through your body. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm a human.
Yeah. And that is the best thing we can do for ourselves, is just let the energy move. I remember I was talking to a spiritual mentor of mine, and I was experiencing a lot of anger at the time. And that was one of the things she's like, just don't keep it trapped, like let it move. Anger is great. It's just energy, but just let it move. And she's like, slam a pillow on your bed, scream, go punch a punching bag. And what I decided to do was hang a heavy bag and take a baseball bat, because I'm small. I'm a 5 foot tall human. And so I can't hit that hard, but I can flat swing a bat. And it felt so good to move that
Yeah.
energy. And again, I think that's a telltale sign that I've done it, is that at the end, I feel wrung out and somehow
Mhm.
clean.
Yeah. Well, if you just think of the word emotion, energy and motion,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But so often we're told as children, don't feel that.
Yeah.
because our parents they don't want to see us angry. They don't want to see us sad. They're probably busting their ass to give us a good life, and they don't want to see our sad little faces.
Yeah.
Like, be grateful,
Yeah.
I know and like my kids, it's like, you take them to Disney World or someplace like that, and then they cry, and it's like, you little fucker, like, I brought you to Disney World. Don't cry.
Do you know how much this cost me?
Right.
$2,000
It's like,
2-day trip. Suck it up.
yeah. So
Having
I have compassion. I do. I have compassion, but at the same time, it's like, and I used to do this. Because I was aware enough of this when my daughters were little, and so I would speak to, oh, you get to have all your emotions. We had a talking stick, and we would pass it around. And if you had the talking stick, you could talk, you could share your feelings, whatever. But then I had one daughter who was very emotional, and then finally I would say to her, I would say, okay, just go to your room. And she's like, you said I can have all my feelings. It's like, you can just have them in your room where I can't see you. Like, I'm not telling you not to have them. I'm just telling you, have them somewhere else.
I can't handle them anymore. I've had all of your feelings I can handle right now.
And that's okay too. Moms are human too, right?
Yeah.
And I think, at some point you realize your mom is just a woman.
Yeah. Just a woman who really loves you.
Just a woman who really loved you and did the best she could and did a pretty damn good job. Right?
Yeah.
Because we're awesome.
Yeah.
So how could our mothers be that bad?
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And so, yeah. So just like.
And I think the best way to honor our mothers is to take all of the good things that they gave us and offer that to the world, and any damage done. I remember there's somebody once told me that the Native American tradition is the belief that a parent's role is to inflict a wound, because to do so ensures their child will seek a spiritual connection. And I remember the first time hearing that, because as a parent, I'm very, very aware of the
You're like, but not me. I didn't inflict any wounds on my children.
Oh, no, I know. I knew very well that I had inflicted wounds on my kids, but there was some comfort in that. It's like, okay, job well done.
Job well done. Pat yourself on the back, right? They're going to be in therapy complaining about you someday. Good job.
I hope so. Because I think everybody could use some therapy to work on whatever wounds parents unintentionally.
All right. I have one question, and then I want to ask the lightning round question.
Okay.
So this is a thing that I think we all struggle with, like knowing what to say.
Oh,
you know, like, and people say, you didn't know what to say. Like somebody
she's
lost,
in a better place.
She's in a better place, or I'm sorry for your loss, or whatever. What is it like in this moment? Like if someone were to say something to you, what would bring you the most comfort?
I want to say, first of all, that I've had so many people reach out, and just knowing that they're thinking about me is comforting. But I think the things that have brought me the most comfort are things that were really positive about my mom, like memories. Our family is planning a celebration at my mom's family farm, and I am so looking forward to it because her family is a bunch of really great storytellers, and I'm just going to hear stories about my mom. So I think, and I also had one woman who, she never met my mom, but she saw a picture posted and she just commented about how beautiful she was. And just, that's helpful. And if you don't know what to say, just telling somebody that you love them and that you're thinking of them.
Yeah.
Is helpful. What's not helpful is she's in a better place, or it must have been her time, or another angel's in heaven now. It's like, shut up. Like, don't say that.
So don't start with the angel in heaven stuff.
No,
she's not in it.
She might be, but let's just,
don't want to talk about.
That's not helping me right now.
Okay. You ready for the lightning round?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to make this specific about grief.
Okay.
So, what rules about grief have you chosen to rebel against on your journey?
Unconsciously, I think unintentionally, the message I got as a child was it's shameful to have feelings.
Mm,
You shouldn't feel like that. Stop that crying before I give you something to cry about. Go to your room until you can put a happy face on. Um, and so, yeah, the rule that I have rebelled against is I get to have my feelings,
yes.
all of them.
Awesome. And when it comes to grief, how would you describe being holy in your grief?
I think it is knowing that I am loved, that
Mm,
love surrounds me, and love is extended to me in all kinds of ways. And just, yeah, knowing that I am love and I experience love and it's offered to me.
you ready for the final one?
Yeah.
So, if there's a listener right now who is grieving, what would you tell them to help them to kind of rise up and meet this grief and be in this process in a way that's um, yeah, that works.
Yeah. I would say be so gentle.
Mm,
Just so gentle. And when I was angry yesterday, what I did for myself was, what can I do to take care of myself while I'm angry? Not try and change the anger, don't
yes,
try and make it go away. Just, what can I do? What kind act can I offer to myself for that reason?
awesome. I love it.
Thank you
Well,
all. And yeah.
thank you, Kim. And I know, Kim, you were doing these was it death over dinner or death
Yeah,
before dinner?
it's let's talk about death over dinner.
Let's talk about death over dinner. Is that still something you plan on doing?
Yeah, I love doing it. It's a really great intimate dinner party where just explore death. And my true belief is, until we are willing to face death, we can't have a full and rich life.
Yeah.
And whether the dinner is focused on accepting the death of others or facing our own mortality, it's beautiful and helpful.
And I can say I have been to one of these dinners and they are fun, believe it or not. Talking about death can be fun.
Yeah.
And it really is it's a very life-giving, lively conversation. And with Kim, it's always delicious food. So if somebody wants to contact you and be on the list for your next
Yeah.
hosted dinner, how would they do that?
You can reach me at email at kim@kimandrick.com.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Kim.
Don't forget to rate and review this
Oh,
episode.
yeah. Rate and review the podcast, please. And if you send us a review, we will read it on our podcast and give you a shout out.
Yes.
So if you want to be on the air, this is your chance.
Yes.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right. I'm going to stop recording.